Hey, Sheree. Yep, no pain on the table. No, no important, breaking news about health or anything. What's up, Midoriya? You're here. I didn't think you'd want to hear about Epstein. A little bit for older guys. I just, oh, man, and I can't believe this broke last night on live stream. Like I said, I'm not gonna make this a long one. At most maybe half an hour, maybe half an hour. Um, I'm just going to leave that on. Maybe play with the lights a little bit. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to go crazy on this one, but I just figured we could have fun because, yeah, apparently there is no client list for Epstein, and he did take himself out. So I'm a little confused. I'm just going to say I'm a little confused, but I also got a fun theory on it, a wacky theory, and I figured, basically when stuff's jacked up like this, we could have a little bit of fun with it. Because if not, well, we might go insane. Everybody might go insane. Mess with the color scheme. I don't know that. I think that's going to put somebody in a seizure right here with these lights. What's going on? You wanted a fun stream where you could unwind and relax. Well, for the next like half hour. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to give you. Because, well, actually, we're going to be talking about some seriously dark subject matter here. And like I said, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat for a change and go woo woo on this one. So I guess the best way to start is just the quick explanation of Epstein and what he did. He's like basically a nobody that somehow got all this power and influence, made billions of dollars that nobody, including the IRS, can't tell us how he made his billions of dollars, and had his own little private island. And then it turned out, well, according to our government now, none of this is true. It was all just magic that he got these billions of dollars and stuff. But he basically had very influential and powerful people come to his island and do terrible things with underage girls. Well, well, let's see. Then they eventually nail him out. They take him to jail, and he hangs himself in his cell supposedly after both the security cameras fail. Both guards that are on duty watching him while he's on suicide watch pass out and fall asleep and leave him alone in his cell. His cellmate is magically moved out of the cell, a couple hours before he does the deed. And yeah, so, it's always been a meme. The big meme Epstein didn't kill himself, right? Because it's clearly, there was definitely something that happened there. So last night while I was streaming, we're talking about all kinds of heavy subject matter and all this. And I ask everybody what the news is, the Texas flood with 80 people, hey, God rest them. And let's hope that they get the help they need and it's swift and, everything goes well for that. And we can't do anything about the 80 souls lost, or 80 plus souls lost. But, that's a tragic situation. Nobody told me about this. So, like, of course, I I did a stream after my stream with Smurf, and we played till like I don't know. It was like 7 or 8 in the morning, right? Just grinding away. And next thing I know, hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Wife walked in the room, right? And because I just popped up this goddamn live stream, right? She comes walking in the room, talking to the dog, and like Hey, what's going on? What are you up to? Why are you tattling on your daddy and all that stuff? And like I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm live streaming. Oh, well, why are you live streaming? It's not Thursday. It's not Sunday. It's not Friday even. But like I told her, I'm keeping this one kind of quick because I'm just going to go into a wackadoo conspiracy theory over this shit. And she's looking at me like, here we go. Go ahead, put on your goddamn tinfoil hat, idiot. Yeah, I'll make sure I get up and move. Um, so so anyway, we know kind of the backstory and where that went. So the person who's in charge of the FBI, Cash Patel, and what is it, his deputy director, Dan Bongino, they're fervent on the podcast scene, YouTube scene about all this needs to be an investigation, all this other stuff, and all this. Then we get Pam Bondi, former AG from Florida, who is now Trump's AG. And she's like, yes, we're going to release all the files, all this other stuff. They call everybody to the White House. They get like, and it was weird because they didn't just release it to the press and everything. They give it to basically like social media influencers. Jack Posovic's one of them. Um, what was the other girl's name? Wheeler. People like this, Mike Cernovich. Was Mike Cernovich one that got it? I can't remember. But a whole bunch of people like this, and they're all holding up the file and all this, and it says Epstein phase 1. So next thing you know, and now mind you, his number 2, a woman named Ghislaine Maxwell, she's in jail, right? Because co-conspirator and all this stuff. She's still in jail right now. Fast forward, and Dan Bongino and Cash Patel come out, go on live TV, basically say, yes, it was not suicide. Epstein absolutely did kill himself. Okay. I was on stream talking about it. And, if we're going to call a spade, that's possible. It's absolutely possible. There's video of him. He's the only one, and you can show me other evidence, all this kind of, okay, cool. I want to see the video. For one, that's me. I just call me kooky, hey, look, Russia collusion, the laptop's fake. We've seen this before. We've seen this nonsense before. So let's go forward in it, and that happens. Well, last night while I was on stream, none of us caught this, and the reason why is because even when I heard it today, I had to go check the news sources, and it's like 3/4 of the way down on the page. So MSNBC, who you think would be all over it, right? About Trump's evilness and all this other stuff because they hate him. So you'd think it would be like the front page story. It wasn't. It's down like 3/4 of the page. CNN, it's maybe not the top headline, but it's a couple down lower. Fox News, same thing. It's down like the middle of the section. So it was real easy to overlook it. And it's like, this is like huge news because they come out and say that officially the government has come out and said, our FBI, everything else has come out and said, not only did Epstein, off himself, but there is no client list. He had no clients. Guys, why the hell was he in jail if he had no clients? Why the hell's Ghislaine Maxwell in jail if there were no clients? So you're telling me the only thing that we know is as fact is that Prince Andrew is, and not even like proven evidence, but he was the only one who had somebody come out against him, and she magically, took her own life not long after. You're going to tell me this is the only guy. You get billions of dollars, billions, not millions, not a couple $100,000, not $5 and a smack in the mouth. No, billions of dollars. And nobody was investing in you. Nobody knew what you're doing. You got people on the flight log, all this other stuff, including, current and past presidents. Nobody knows what you're doing. Our intelligence agencies have just, nope, there's no evidence. We can't prove nothing. We have no client list, nothing. So here's the question: what happened to the evidence? Number one, right off the rip, what happened to the evidence? What was the entire thing about then? If none of this, there was nothing. You're going to tell me there was nothing. No extra video. You guys went and ran down every lead you could. You brought in every Tom, Dick, and Harry, anybody who was even suspected of being on that island or in the flight logs. You sat down, had conversations with all of them, and there was no credible evidence. Now, I'm definitely one of those people. Like I said, I don't buy into woo woo. Right? I think it's fun and enjoyable, and I'm gonna get to my woo woo because I have some outside the like, wow, that's kind of weird woo woo. And maybe there's people out there that agree with me, don't agree with me, whatever. I haven't even been watching really the news today. Like I saw the one, like three people put this up there, including Piers Morgan. And I was like, you know what? Let me just sit back, think about this, come up with a woo woo theory. Let's have fun on a stream for a second. Because sometimes I can get heavy on the streams. So, and I figured half hour, I can do this, right? So here's my woo woo theory. We got all this money, everything else floating in and out. Obviously, you got client list. Obviously, you had people on this island and everything else. This man was not smart financially. He was definitely taking that loot. Now, there's always been a faction that have said this. And again, everybody, conspiracy theory. Not true, not factual. Just, me being an idiot and having fun with this. So let's say, because Ghislaine Maxwell's father was apparently very embedded with Mossad. Supposedly, all he would recruit people. Let's say Ghislaine Maxwell took that position from her father, or got involved in his life, like parents pass on their business to somebody. I owned a fish store for 50 years of my life. I'm going to pass, retire and all this. I'm going to leave it to my son. This guy did the same thing with his woman, or his daughter. And so she partnered up with somebody who, from all accounts, was charismatic. Creepy, but charismatic, right? Not very smart. So just kind of took orders and do what you tell them. Partners up with him. They get in through some connects and get people investing in them. And, of course, now you've got to figure out, how am I going to get dirty information on somebody? Well, you need somebody with corrupted morals that's basically going to help facilitate that and not feel too bad about it because, hey, I'm a billionaire now, right? Enter Jeffrey Epstein is your man for that. So the two of them partner up. They get the island, everything else. They get these influential people there. They nail all of them with blackmail. Now, it's like I said, conspiracy theory again. I'm going to always preface this through because it's a woo-woo theory. I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, kinda. It's just wrapped around my headset that I listen through, and you get these high influence people there. Now, some of them are going there willingly, like Bill Clinton. Come on, we know what Bill Clinton did in the Oval Office with Monica Lewinsky. He's definitely into that kind of thing. There's all kinds of credible sources on what he's into. So he would have been an easy one to get, right? That's an easy get right there. Okay. But maybe get somebody who is on the more innocent side and is just lonely. So I mean, somebody like Bill Gates, you can look at that guy and be like, oh yeah, you're definitely that dude who would do some stuff like this, right? But somebody like an Elon Musk, we'll say, where he basically has all this money and can do whatever, pretty much whatever he wants with whoever he wants, and he has, you can tell by the number of children he has. But say like Elon Musk went, maybe they caught him, filmed him, and then turned around and said, by the way, she's underage. We got you. Look, this is what we want. What did Jeffrey Epstein funnel his money to? That's the question, right? That's one of those questions. The whole thing is once you start following money, I say this constantly. You follow the crime, crime leads you to this. But if you start following the money behind the crime, that's when you run into trouble. So let's say that they were, basically intelligence, but for Israel, they'd share with the CIA here and there. Conspiracy theory again. They'd share with, because that's how our government spies on us. They don't actually like have to tap your phone and all this other stuff. They'll let a different country, like, well, somebody they trust, like, I don't know, UK, Israel, whatever, spy on you. Then the two agents meet. They say, hey, look, we're spying on you in Israel. The CIA guy will say, I'm spying on you in Israel. Here you go. Here's your dossier on this person you want to know about. What do you got for me? I need, Joe Schmuckatelli. Give me his, give me the intel you have on them. So it's a perfect honey trap. And now you've got the extra loot flowing. You blow some of that loot out to, I don't know. We'll just name some random organization, like maybe an APAC. And, you're now funneling that money back into American politics, and therefore you're helping out leaders. Let me see what Beans is chiming in. She's having fun with the woo woo tutu. The reason the FBI wouldn't let the Epstein client list come out in court is because if they did, their blackmail would no longer be useful, and the CIA would lose their control over all. Correct, right? That's there. You go. That fits right into my woo woo narrative. Because here's the whole thing. The reason why I'm calling it woo woo and not true is because prove it. Show me your evidence. Show me your empirical evidence where I can put people in jail, where I can, show me the evidence where I can call people out for it. That's part of the problem. I'm not a rich man. I don't have inside knowledge or any of this kind of crap. I'm just a guy wearing a tinfoil hat at this moment. And, this conspiracy theory. We're having fun. Right, guys? We're having fun. But okay. So basically, you funnel it back in. It goes back to some politicians. Plus, you're getting intel. You've got a valuable trade-off with the CIA. Fast forward to modern day. And what do we got? We got Bondi in office. Hands out all those things. We got, and next thing you know, things start to change a little bit because Bongino comes out, said he didn't, we have this video and you can see him walking. I watched the video. Guys, all it is from the top of a stairwell and you can see Epstein being led down a hall by two guys. I'm sorry, on those camera angles, woo-woo theory, GAM theory, I could have gotten in and out of there without you even knowing I was there. I'm just going to let you know. I'm just going to throw that out there. That if you're going to tell me that there's no way anybody could sneak past here and do this or that or the other thing, because I'm sorry, from the angle it's at, there are 2 to 3 different blind spots that you would be able to cover through. And if you were actually a paid, high-ranking, trained person that takes people out for a living, yeah, you get right in and out, especially if the guards are just going to ignore your ass. What's up, Yuji? But I'm not going to lie. So unless there's another angle of a different camera that's showing me the entire hallway and the front of those cells, and you can show that to me, and then show me, the coroners going in and out and taking him out of there. Show me the point I want like a 9 hour video, guys, or a 3 hour video, or a 2 hour video, or however long it is, so I can watch the whole thing of that hallway. If you got an angle from that end where I can see the front end of the cells, I can see them leading Mr. Epstein into his cell, and then I see where the guards go and find him. Then I see the coroner, all that. Okay, you got me. I can't argue. I can't argue that evidence. What they released as this video that supposedly proves that he was all alone, I'm calling bullshit. Just me. I'm just going to call bullshit. And that's because I know, with as low as my skill is at stealth, I've seen guys that can stealth, and they would have been in and out of there before you could have blinked. Yeah, okay. So there could have been tunnels too. Well, that makes him a retard. And I'm going to tell you why that kind of makes him retarded, because we would still have those tunnels there. What are you going to do? You'd have to detonate a bomb to collapse the tunnel. You don't just dig like a tunnel under something. I mean, and maybe I shouldn't call him a retard, because I'd have to actually see the context in which he said it. But to tunnel in, or oh, like the Great Escape or Shawshank Redemption, that shit, that would take a long time to do, for one, without being noticed. For two, you would leave evidence behind of a tunnel that leads down to, I don't know, a back hallway, maintenance room, whatever. It would be too easy. But from that camera angle, no. I'm so, like I said, I'm old and fat and out of shape. I could sneak my ass in there and take him out and get back out of there without you catching me. I would put money on it. Put money on it. But yeah, so like I said, that's not going to. You're not. Where I would take it as a convincing argument. Who wanted them dead? Well, apparently somebody on the client list. But since the client list doesn't exist, that's a miracle, right? If it's all government funded and all that, even if it is, it would be easier. Like, the whole thing is, you always want to take, I guess I'm going to say Occam's razor here. The simplest solution is usually the right solution. You don't ever want to overcomplicate things. That's where people end up getting caught when they do something, allegedly. You always want to keep it as simple as possible, because people screw up real easy. You do something like digging a tunnel, for example. Like, if that's the woo woo theory we're going to go with, is they dug a tunnel in there and got them, right? Again, you would have to collapse the tunnel. There would be, well, was there an earthquake in the area because I heard this big explosion? You would have somebody in that jail talking. One of the inmates would be running their gums about, yo, man, I heard this the other night. Yo, I heard that too. Yo, maybe we can drop that. And somebody would have picked it up. So the whole thing is, we're, woo woo. Let's say Israel was using them as basically a honeypot for blackmail operation, or to get dirt on people, stuff like this. You would be able to get congressmen to vote a certain way. You would be able to get senators to vote a certain way when it comes to funding certain things over there. Dan Bongino was on, and Jesus, I don't know if it was Tim Pool. It might have been Tim Pool. But I remember him talking about, he had said something to the extent of, he was at Fox News behind the scenes, and somebody, they were talking about Epstein, and the person said to him, yeah, he's 100% asset for a Middle Eastern intelligence agency. That's why they're not going after him as hard as they are, and that's why it's being covered up. That was from Dan Bongino. Now, granted, there's no connection according to Dan Bongino now. Right? So take it for what it is. But yeah, back to Pam Bondi with phase one. Same thing. I have on my desk, she was on Fox News. I remember watching this. I have on my desk the client list, and we have to go through and remove the victims' names and everything else. I have 10,000 plus hours of footage of him with underage girls, but we have to go through it and vet it and edit out all the victims to protect the victims. It's always been protect the victims, which you should protect your victims, right? But she's told us already that they have all this evidence. Bongino and Patel had both told us that they have all this evidence. How come we're not seeing the evidence? How come it's just a flat out, yep, nope, nothing to see here. Never happened. It was a figment of your imagination. He was just a pervert on an island with a bunch of young girls that made billions magically, but never did anything. Yep. And there you go. There's a good woo woo. I like that woo woo. That's a good one, Beans. Where you got the father connected to Ghislaine, connected to Passad, but connected to Anthony Blinken. Now, is it possible that whoever was in there, Christopher Wray and Biden's admin and all that, wiped out everything? Yeah, it's possible. Is it probable? I think they're still sitting on that evidence. I think they have that evidence in front of them. I think they're bullshitting all of us. I think that they can make claims like, hey, look, we got video and all this other stuff and what have you. And it was clearly a suicide, right? For example, like taking that angle of it. They can come out and claim that because all the evidence that they have shows that. But what if they're only showing us part of the evidence? What if the rest of the evidence is locked away? Or, nope, this is a file that we can't open for another 50, 60, 100 years or whatever. Yes, and you're right, Eugene. Everybody was connected to him. Everybody was connected to him. Okay. So, Sheree, that's the one thing you can't believe. So now for GAM's woo woo, really getting woo woo. You're caught. We catch somebody spying on us, right? We catch a North Korean spy. That shit's front page news, right? Throws it all out there, everything else. You catch a friendly government spying on us. Do you make it front page news? Do you put that out there? Do you say, hey, look at this? You know, I'm just curious. Do you think they do? Like, hey, you know what? We're going to go away from the little hat people and go over to Great Britain. Great Britain's got a James Bond spying on our asses. He gets caught. Do they go out and put that on the front page? Our own ally is spying on us. No, they keep that shit hidden. Oh, you're goddamn right, Beans. We are not in it. I would never be in a club like that. Like, if anything, if I were invited to a club like that, they all better be wearing flame retardant clothing because I'm taking a flamethrower to the place. That's just me, allegedly. That's kind of what I would do with something if I found out that was going on near me. There's very few things in this world that anger me or, like anger me to that extent where I would lose my shit. I guess is the best way of putting it. That kind of thing would be one of them. Finding out somebody had a local dog fighting ring or something would be another. Okay. Like, I would go in and it would be like the Punisher going off. I would lose my shit. So, it's a twofold thing in my opinion, right? Well, and not even my opinion, just my little woo-woo theory here. But I think this whole thing going away the way it did and as fast as it is, what else is going on? What can we link it to? That's how woo woo works. You got to look for the connections that may or may not really actually be there, right? Conspiracy theory, right? You got a foreign spy that is about to be exposed for everything and who they were spying for, who they were facilitating all this illegal activity with underage people on an island to massively wealthy people. And the people that are funding it, the people that are behind it and making it happen, well, let's say it was the little hat people. Let's say it was that government. So, what would you use if you were a businessman, a smart businessman who's made billions of dollars? You wanted to cut a deal for, I don't know, say like peace in the Gaza Strip. And you could get both sides to the table, but you couldn't really get one to comply. Woo woo conspiracy, guys. Woo woo conspiracy. You want to get somebody to comply. And basically, so what do? Well, if that spy that we caught wasn't credible and we didn't have any evidence, we couldn't link it back to the country of origin that he was kind of reporting to. It might let somebody off the hook for corruption on top of already existing corruption charges that are still standing and waiting to see their day in court. So I mean, this is my woo woo conspiracy theory. What if everything's being forgotten about in this deal to sweeten a peace deal? Those remember I told you, and we're son of a bitch. It's almost been 2 weeks, I think, where I said the rumor is that there's going to be a deal, a peace deal reached, a peace agreement, and it's going to come to a two-state solution. We're going to see other people enter the Abraham Accords. We're going to see, all this kind of stuff happen. And I've read off, I can't even remember everything that was in the deal. But then there would be four, like Egypt, I think it was Saudi, or maybe it was UAE. I don't know. But they would take control of Gaza. Hamas would be exiled, all this other stuff. And then I said on my last stream, apparently Hamas is open to this negotiation. Like I said, put on your tinfoil hat, because what if Epstein going away is to protect that other government from this, from that embarrassment, from that stink, from that stain? Okay, and now let's throw the sweetener on top of a sweetener, because not to be outdone. Yeah, the sweetener on top, the sweetener. BB just nominated Trump, wrote a letter for a Nobel Peace Prize. It's a little odd, isn't it? You're actively bombing and killing people in basically a small strip of land next to your nation. And you're going to be the one who wants to throw them up for peace. Why not somebody else? Why you? Kind of interesting. And over a candlelight dinner and with his ugly boglin wife, his wife looks like a boglin, like that woman's face. I don't know what happened. It was like somebody with good arcs in their feet, or arches in their feet, like stepped on the top of her head and just squished it. Like, I don't know what's up with his ugly ass wife, but she's always there. She's right beside him. But yeah, this is my woo woo theory. This is why the Epstein thing is going away. What do you guys think? You like the theory? Oh, and there is one other thing too, because now people are like, oh well, what Elon said with Trump being on the list. Okay, is it possible? It's possible. Am I like 95% sure Trump isn't actually on the list? I am. And the reason why I'm going to say Trump isn't on that list is because okay, if you got to sacrifice Bill Clinton out there, right? Because you know he's on the list. Like there's no doubt Bill Clinton's on that list. Like there's no doubt in my mind at all. Like that's like saying, hey, like we're missing a kilo of coke. I wonder who took it. And then you look around the room and there's the local crackhead sitting there like, I don't know, Biden. I don't know. I don't know. Like that's Bill Clinton. The shit went down with him on that island, right? With Trump, they wanted to keep him from office to the point they spent $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion. They lied about Russia collusion. They lied about a laptop being fake. They tried to, what they indict him? 34 times? Something like that. They shot him. Something like, hey, you were on Epstein's island and did this and we have evidence of it. Man, that would have ended it right there. So that's why I'm 95% sure, because they would have done anything to keep him out of office. Yes, he did, Beans. Yes, he did. But yeah, I mean, look, you guys wanted a fun woo woo theory and all that stuff. And, I've been getting a little bit more, like even Mr. dropped in last night and he was like, oh, you guys are talking serious, like kind of darker stuff. Now, granted, this woo woo theory has our government doing corrupt shit and their government doing corrupt shit and everybody doing corrupt shit. But it's a woo woo theory. What do you guys think, though? Do you like it? Do you like the can you guys follow my logic on it? Why I can see it like that. Like if we're chasing it. Now granted, you also have mega donors, and you've got very rich and powerful people on there. Well, whoever controls that client list, well, if you need a favor in politics, you need a boost to your campaign. Hey, I took care of that Epstein thing for you. Kind of goes a long way. Like, hey, these guys were shaking me down in my local pizza shop for money. And I went to the mob and I said, hey, Vito, these guys, these are, you don't worry nothing about it. You don't worry. We got you. We got you back. Don't worry about it. You go home. You have a nice meal with your family. We'll take care of it. Next day, guy comes into the shop and apologizes to you and hands you everything he's got in his wallet and says, please, please, please. And you can tell he's had the shit beat out of him. Nope. No, Eugene, that's just it. That's where you got it wrong. They wouldn't have to expose everybody else. So the whole thing is that there's too many important people on the list, right? There's a lot of people we suspect being on the list. Can't prove it. Like I can't say definitively Bill Clinton, only went there 26 times and he was just there and enjoying Mai Tais by the pool and just looking at the sights. Maybe he was, right? So I can't sit there and accuse him flat out and say definitively I know, but come on now. We fucking know. We know like when you catch your little, your kid and the cookie jar is half empty and you're like, who ate all these cookies? And then you look at his face and he's got crumbs and chocolate chips all over it. Like, I don't know, what me? Yeah, I would like to believe that, Beans, that, the evil will be, it'll get nailed. It'll get caught. People will get taken down, right? I don't think so. I think this one, there was a point in time where everything was hard copy documented and they would shred the documents. They would do that kind of stuff so you could get rid of a lot of the evidence. We live in digital age where unless you know exactly which hard drive has been erased and how, you can't reconstruct that evidence. You can wipe stuff digitally now with AI. Like if I wanted to make this sign fly up in the air and hit me in the face, I could with using AI. Never even moving. So unfortunately, we are now in a point where the people with the best tech control the information the strongest, and they can just wipe all kinds of stuff out. Only reason why we know definitively Prince Andrew did some shit is because that woman was brave enough to come out and say, this is what happened. But nobody ever came out, nobody ever told. I'm sure China knows everything, but you also don't play those cards. Same thing with Russia. Same thing with America. We hold back so many cards from each other because if you tip your hand and somebody knows you're holding a pair of twos when you go to bluff, yeah, you're basically done. Like they got a full house, you got a pair of twos, you're screwed, right? So you're not gonna. A lot of it's bluffing. Um, but I think, and that's why I go back to if it's true, and he was an asset, an intelligence asset for a country in the Middle East, as has been described by Dan Bongino himself. Also, where is all the 10,000 hours on Pam Bondi's desk and the actual report, right? Now, this dropped yesterday, so Sunday, and we know our government moves kind of slow. Who is going to call the Intelligence Committee in Congress, the Oversight Committee, and all that, and bring her in and start asking her these kind of questions? Do you think we're going to see that investigation? We're not going to see that investigation. Who has the power to tell somebody at DOJ, at FBI, and all that, hey, look, I need this one to honey up a peace deal. It's for national security. It's for the best interest of our country and the best interest of this entire place in the Middle East. There's one guy, and the buck stops with him. So if he says, hey, kill this dead, they kill it dead. You would think they're so power hungry they would do each other in. But the whole thing is, rich people don't become rich by being stupid. And that's why I say a lot of people argue with me too. I think Elon Musk is a genius. I think he's a very smart man. I also think he's kind of retarded because he lets his emotions go. He lets his, you know, oh my God, like you don't want to do what I'm saying and all this other kind of stuff. Well, then I'm just going to start like another political party to take you out, for example. That wasn't based on you want to see change in America. That's you're being a childish person who just wants to fundamentally impose your will because you have the money to, right? Usually, the ones that are really rich and really badass, the ones that frighten me, are the ones that are cold calculating and play it like it's not even a chess game, like it's a 60 chess game, basically. They already have the strategy laid out. They already know the moves. They already know the players. And they know when to sacrifice a higher end player and when to sacrifice a pawn. There's still going to be a sacrifice, but they're okay with either of it because they've already calculated it in. They're brutal, they're logical, and they're smart. Yes. And there you go. I've always said two horns in the same goat, two wings on the same bird is a good analogy too. Um, and who is going to vote for Elon's party? Tim Pool types. He won't vote for that. Tim Pool will march in lockstep with whoever gets him the most amount of clicks. So that's one of those things that I've seen that honestly annoys the shit out of me. Now, you've got people that are true believers, right? Like Donald Trump can do no wrong. Yeah, there's absolutely people like that. Oh no, he's the greatest, and he's doing it on the up and up. Okay, great. You get people that are the other way. The Democrats, you got to understand, like Joe Biden, he's a great man and all. I've listened to somebody who spouted nonsense at me about how, you don't understand, the only reason why he didn't run was because of Bo. No, he didn't run because Obama didn't see him as president. He saw Hillary Clinton as president, so it had nothing to do with Bo's death. Shit like this, right? But you have people that are like, sycophants for either party. The fact of the matter is that if you introduce a third party, it's going to fail at this point, unless you have enough people that are sick of both parties to vote for that party. You have to who's going to be the nominee for that party? Who are you going to nominate? Because best of luck to you. They're going to get buried by Fox News, and then they're going to go over and get buried by CNN and MSNBC. They're going to completely bury them. And, if you think there's no validity to that argument, just look what they did to RFK Jr. when he left the Democrat Party. There was no friggin' chance that he could win, and he had momentum behind him, too. Nobody was going to flip their vote and vote for RFK Jr. running as an independent. We already have that third party. It's the independent party. We have the Green Party. They get shellacked every election, every one of them. So it's really it's brutal. We are stuck between, unfortunately, a rock and a hard place. But it's more like, would you like to eat this shit sandwich, or would you like to eat this shit taco? Because either way, you're going to eat shit. I'd like to think he's grandstanding, but unfortunately, he did. He tipped his hand, right? We can say he's grandstanding, all this kind of stuff. But you can see where he tipped his hand, and where he tipped his hand was when he put out those tweets and went in on Donald Trump and said stuff like, "Yeah, he's on Epstein's list. Have a good day, DJT." Stuff like that. Like, you saw, he did it from a place of an emotional outburst, not of a man who is sitting back thinking logically on how to rectify and change his situation. The easiest way that Elon Musk could actually affect our politics and actually damage things, because he has the money and influence to do it, right? The easiest way that he could have done that shit would have been to turn around, play nice with the Republicans, start building out people that were loyal to him in that party, funding the shit out of him, getting him elected and boosted into higher and higher positions. That's how you do it. You have to play the game from the inside. You don't play it through the. You can either be the kid in the middle that everybody is rallying around, or you can be the one stinky kid that nobody likes, who's sitting on the outside of everybody having fun and a good time, throwing rocks at them. And that's basically what Elon's doing at this point. He's not an American born, so he can't ever be president. You know what I mean? So he can't run. He can't run for president. So who do you put in there? What personality do you put in there? Ryan Reynolds? Like, what are we talking about here? Let's have forever. I look at it, and to me, the whole situation is unfortunate. Like I said, terrible situation. There's a lot of scumbags that are about to just walk away into the night without a concern, like, whoo, that was close. And it's a terrible situation. So I figured a little woo woo, maybe we'd lighten it up and have fun. Anybody else got any good theories? Any good theories? Oh yeah, well that's just it. Um, they can attack him for it. If somebody starts attacking Trump for for that kind of stuff, then maybe one person on that list leaks and it turns out to be Paul Pelosi. I don't know. I'm just throwing a name out there. Maybe it's not young girls. Maybe it's young guys. Maybe yeah, and that's what I'm saying is we have no idea because we don't know who's on that client list. Maybe it's what's his name? Rupert Murdoch, the head of Fox News or whatever. Maybe it's him. Who knows? We don't know. That's good to hear. Glad to hear you're safe. That's awesome forever. Well, yeah, I mean they should be scared of him too. You're right. They are scared of him with it because the whole thing is okay. Now they've said they don't have a client list, but let's say I don't know out of the blue. Now that you don't have a full client list, means that you can protect who you want and punish who you want. So, for example, like I said, let's say you come forward and say, look, we don't have a client list, but we did find enough evidence that this person, and like I said, throwing a name out there, Paul Pelosi, right? We have credible evidence. Here's his flight log entry. I don't think he ever flew out there, so he's a good person to use. But it would keep Nancy shut the fuck up because I'm going to throw out the evidence and say we didn't find his entire client list. However, here's one person that we know he absolutely trafficked to, and here's video evidence, and basically you control the information. So now our government or our FBI, our intelligence agencies now have that blackmail. They can use it however the hell they want. Yes, exactly, Beans. They could be holding that list to nail out, like I said, putting people in line. That's how you get people in line. If you have if Epstein had a huge thing of blackmail on everybody, right? Let's say all the rich people, so all the billionaires, Bill Gates comes to mind because he's so rich and he is friggin' a creepy ass dude. Yeah, yeah, you could literally go to Bill Gates and go, "You're going to fund every friggin' Republican for the next 6 years." Well, why am I going to fund every Republican? Because otherwise, we're just going to say that well, we have credible evidence and everything else, and then slowly leak this shit. So you're going to do it, or we're going to destroy you. Our government has become a mob boss. And now, granted, you know who's not on that list, and I can tell you 105 billion% is not on that list. Me, I'm not on that goddamn list. You know, everybody in this goddamn chat, 100 billion. I'll bet my house on that one. You guys are not on that list. Yeah, but okay. So the whole thing is don't. The whole thing is I can't compare Diddy to it because the whole thing with Diddy is he had his day in court, and if you really look at what they try to charge him on and how they try to prove it, you had an assault and battery case maybe at best. Everything else was grown people involved in grown people things. We're talking about underage people that were purposefully trafficked and held in a centralized place to be used as playthings by billionaires, millionaires, people that had celebrity and influence. It's a whole different matter. There's no like Diddy getting off didn't shock me like at all. That's why I didn't really care about it. This actually does kind of shock me because I still had some kind of faith that our system was going to do the right goddamn thing here. And it really didn't. And I'm not disappointed. It just caught me completely off guard. And then, so I guess that's where my woo woo starts coming in, because now something doesn't make any kind of logical sense to me. I've got to find something that makes it make logical sense. And the best I can come up with is a harebrained woo woo theory that some asshole on YouTube, me, you know, with 85 people that are sub to him. This is what I can put together from what I'm seeing. And it's the best logical sense I can find in it. Yeah, I hear you forever. I don't think I've ever been to an actual island myself, but even then, like, none of us run in those circles. So that's one of those things. You know, when I was younger, allegedly, I might have dealt with some very shady people, but nothing ever to do with that kind of shit ever. Never would. I don't. I have morals to a point where I can't. If anything, I've always tried to bring peace to things. Um, you know, just saying, I've always tried to be a negotiator, a peacemaker myself. But some evil needs to be wiped, and yeah, I'm 100% with you. They all need to go straight to hell, and on a no stop elevator trip. I'm more mortified at this point. It just, I've been saying this about Pam Bondi since the beginning. She's more worried about being on TV than anything really to do with law, in my opinion. That's just how I've seen her. Dan Bongino and Cash Patel, though, that does disappoint me, because I don't know. Maybe I picture people that are in that kind of position as you should be the dog that won't let go of the bumper of the car no matter how far it drags you down the road. That every lead needs to be followed through to the very end. And I'm not saying they're not doing good work and they're not wiping out, like, you know, kid diddlers and all this kind of stuff, and doing things like this behind the scenes. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're doing good work. But with this one, this was a big one. And it kind of showed me that the more things change, the more they're going to stay the same. That even good men can be told stand down, and they're not going to pull that. I can't comply with that order, sir. They're going to do it. I don't know that he's. I wouldn't go that far. I don't know that he's fumbling things again, Eugene. Again, I think he used it as a business strategy, as a sweetener on a deal for the whole Gaza Strip thing. Because I do know one of the things he was calling for in the Gaza deal was that Israel drops their corruption charges against Bibi in particular. Because part of the theory and part of the reasoning, which makes actual real deal logical sense, is that Bibi was smuggling, well, not smuggling, but accepting basically gifts. We'll call them gifts from people, like champagne for his wife, for example, but it's corrupt in their politics, and he stands to go to jail for it. The only thing is, he has to be like, they can nail him while he's the prime minister and get him out of there. But if there's a war going on, if Israel is currently engaged in a conflict, then they can't nail him with it. They keep their same thing with Ukraine with Zelensky. They're not going to hold an election until after the war between Russia and Ukraine ends. It's the same thing with Israel. So if Israel is always at war, and so the theory is that if those corruption charges went away, Bibi might be more open to a two-state solution and all that kind of stuff. Theory. Hey, SE, how are you, man? Good to see you. Well, I mean, people only last a blockchain to the bumper, but it depends on how fast you're driving too. Hey, Leo, good to see you, buddy. It is like we have a choice between bad or evil, dumb or dumber. Um, it did well. What can I say? I mean, I'm on page like 560, I think, of our big beautiful bill, and there ain't just pork in there. There is entire pig farms. It's bloated. Like it's some of the stuff. It's crazy. It's really, but yeah, my conspiracy theory or whatever on this whole Epstein shit. I don't know if you guys like it. You know, if you can follow my logic train on it, and if it makes sense. But it was the only thing I could really just. I mean, unless you guys got something that I'm not seeing, like come up with. Well, the whole thing is what they're really going to do is turn the frogs gay by putting chemicals in the water, and Epstein's island was facilitating all that. Forever it was like I was only going 10 miles an hour. Nice. Definitely taking a. Tell you what, guys, it's like stream 3 in 24-hour period. I think I'm starting to stream more than I am just kicking back and relaxing. Oh, good lord! I even hooked up my old camera, and anybody who was in the stream the other day, here you go. You want to see the difference between the two cameras? Look at the Hulk in this camera. Like it's I'm like, oh my god, the difference between the two cameras. It's craziness. I mean, SE, you just jumped in. Do you have any theories with the Epstein stuff and why it just disappeared? Yeah, tragic different. I was telling my wife. My wife was like, how'd the camera work out? I was like, everybody was like, oh my god, the difference is night and day. And I was like, it really is. She's like, really? I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Everybody noticed the difference, like right away. Makes me want to pull out like the other stuff I painted and put it on the new camera and reshoot my thumbnails. I might have to do that. So people actually look at it and go, "Hey, it looks all right," And, oh shit, that's what you did. So here's a question. Here's $1 million question for you. You guys think Trump wins the Nobel Peace Prize or what? He only had to drop like 14 30-ton bombs on a foreign country during a hot war, but that's how peace is achieved apparently. Yeah, oh, Mister's in with me. Mister, you've got the same tinfoil hat I have. It looks like a gay disco. I've never been to one, so I'll just have to take your word for it, Mister. I'll definitely. I mean, well, at least it's not like a string of Christmas lights or something sitting there flashing. Hey, Diego. Oh, that's cool. Well, welcome, Diego. This is not a normal stream, Diego. I'm just going to let you know. Usually, um, I'm painting things and all that kind of stuff and being creative. This one is what I like to call a woo-woo stream, where we're all putting on tinfoil hats and talking conspiracy theory because of the Epstein client list. So, if it's a little too much for you, I understand, buddy. Yeah, Essie, I definitely want to hear some of your thoughts on it too. I think you'd have some interesting stuff. Mister, same thing with you. I definitely want to hear your thoughts. My thoughts are that basically Epstein was an intelligence asset. He was honeypot and given it to Israel. Israel was basically, well, the Mossad, not Israel, but Israel's intelligence agency, the Mossad. They were funneling that intelligence back to our CIA so that we had tabs on our own citizens without it breaking the chain. And then basically their James Bond, quote unquote spy got caught. They deleted him, and then basically now, in order to sweeten the deal for Bibi to push to a two-state solution in Israel with Gaza with the Palestinians, then what's going to happen is Trump was like, "Yeah, we're going to pretend like your spy didn't get caught." Yes, I'm right there with you, Se. Anything that hurts children like that in that way, it's the same thing with me. I literally just got done saying that. I think we should be humane about it. I think they should go into wood chipper feet first, stopping every 4 inches to check and make sure they're okay before we continue. Jesus Christ, Mister, that's woo woo. That is amazing woo woo right there. That's more woo woo than I was woo wooing. Yeah, they're lizard people. I mean, hey, it's possible. Yeah, Diego. Like I said, this one may not have been a stream you wanted to hop into. You might want to wait till Thursday and hop in that one where we talk like normal people. Right now, we're just all being kind of wacky and crazy. Wait, do I have an audio? Like, did somebody send an audio? I know Diego. Leo told us you were his friend. It's cool. Like I said, this one wasn't really for the younger guys. This one's more for the older people. Like the younger guys usually jump in the other ones where I'll be painting stuff. Actually, the next stream I think is going to be blackout. I'm working on the final print, which is Invincible, and he's coming out pretty good. Like I'm not gonna lie, he's going to be a big one. Yeah, SE, it would be better for a discussion. Like that's one of those things. Dang, I got the Discord set up on the other set rig. Like I can play audio. So here's the thing, SE, are you in the Discord? You can send an audio. There's one part in my Discord where you can record audio and then I can play it. I literally have been trying to figure, well, not figure out a way, but because I've already kind of figured it out. But there's going to be a way where I'm going to basically do not call ins, but if people want to talk, kind of like Art Bell did. He did it on a radio show, of course, but I've kind of figured a way in Discord where I can move people in and out of a chat channel and then have conversations with them, move them out when they're done. No, trust me, I understand it. Like that's why I grabbed the mic and went live or whatever. Just throw my woo woo conspiracy theory out there. Have fun with it because honestly, it's in my opinion a huge miscarriage of justice. Shows corruption in our government. Shows like it basically exposes the emperor as having no clothes all over again. Yeah, Mister. That I mean, I could see that. That does make sense. That works right in the logic train. That he, it wasn't just Israel. Maybe it wasn't just Israel. Maybe he was working and feeding to the French government. Because where did they lock Ghislaine Maxwell up at? Was that France? I don't even know where she's being held. Did they throw him like, I'm not sure where they put him. SE, be as angry as you want, express yourself the way you want. Just, no racial slurs and you're good. You're fine. I have a lot of anger off at it too. That's why I've got to do a woo woo stream on it. Flat out. That's why I've got to do a woo woo stream because I had to try to make some kind of logical sense because the whole thing makes absolutely, as far as justice is concerned, as far as my morals are concerned, as far as people that actually want the answers on how evil the people at the top are concerned. It makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. I still have library cards too. I actually just didn't donate, but lent out my video game consoles, my old ones, everything from Atari to Nintendos to Super Nintendo, Genesis, all that. I lent that out because they did a thing at the local library, um, driving up donations and stuff like this on the history of video games. Goddamn, I was drinking when I read that. GAM stream is rated R. Yes, they all think we're foolish and we're all idiots. Se, you're right. That you're not wrong. Like we all, it goes back to okay. So the big question was at one point, did he or didn't he put himself down? Right. Well, what was he in jail for in the first place? What was he connected to? So you're telling me none of that stuff exists anymore because we're just supposed to move on from it, and that you're right. That's part of it. That's part of what bothers me. Actually, that's a big part of stuff that bothers me, man. Is they really do think we're just idiots. That we don't live in an age where now, granted, there was a point in time where you could lie and get away with stuff, right? Weapons of mass destruction come to mind for some reason, and I'm not saying this is on that level, but the cover up in the background kind of is. It's it's upsetting. And like I said, that's why you got to come up with a woo woo theory, have fun with it, laugh about it. Because if not, you're just going to go nuts and you're going to take a black pill and look at everything like there is no way to win. There is, we're all screwed. Why would you do that with physicists, though? See, like that's like one of those little factoids. If that, and I'm guessing that's accurate, Mister, because you usually don't say stuff that's too inaccurate. But why would you want those scientists there? Does it tie into something bigger? Does it tie into, I don't know. Does it tie into AI? Does it tie into, think about modern technology? Does it tie into something to do with it? I mean, if we really want to go woo woo, then we'll say something like, he was bringing all those scientists to the island because they were going to reverse engineer a UFO that he had hidden under it. There wasn't actually anything going on there. They were just studying alien tech. So Se, there's footage of him being walked, and it's from a stairwell camera. This is the footage that I saw. They show him being walked in handcuffs by two guards, and they go down a hallway or whatever, and they're saying that that proves that he was alone in there when he he finished himself. Right? I'm trying to be delicate because we got younger listeners right now. Um, I said it already, like I had said this earlier. From the angles and the blind spots in that camera, I could have gotten in and out of there and done the job, and you guys wouldn't have noticed. And I'm a fat, out of shape dude, an old man, and I could have done it. So somebody that's younger and actually skilled in that would have had no problem getting in and out without even being seen. Eugene, it might as well be the island from Lost. You need that sequence of numbers, and you got to type them in all the time, and then hit the button, or it blows up. And now, Beans, you're absolutely actually tell you the truth. You're right. I'm as delicate as a sledgehammer. um, it doesn't. So that you've actually seen footage where they show the cell, like the front end of the cell. Is that what you're saying, Se? They a lot of times they would it should have like a little slidey window in it, like a little slot in the door. So, because I believe when he, well, no, was he moved to solitary confinement? If you're in solitary confinement, then basically the room is kind of proofed where there's nothing in there that you can use to harm yourself. But they usually either have a camera in the room itself to monitor you, or there is at least a slot in the door and a slot where you can slide a tray through. And they do that because people that are locked in solitary confinement might be having a 5150 mental break, and they don't want the guards getting hurt. I'm going to have to find that footage now, Se. Thank you very much, dude, because I'll look at that and examine it. But the only one that I've seen is from like the stairwell. And I was like, dude, the blind spots in that, like, you're going to try and tell me that nobody could have snuck through it, dude. You don't have to be Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible to get in and out of that, especially if there's no other cameras working and no other guards. Like the guards are off duty and you can see them. Yep. Yeah, and exactly. I've got I've I've got quite a few people that are, well, I consider them family in law enforcement. different things, including one person who was a CEO for a long time in Camden jail. So Epstein hosted it said, well, hmm. All right. So let's amend something to the woo woo theory then, mister. What if those scientists are the heads of AI funded, like upcoming AI agencies, and it would destroy their careers and destroy their lives, put them in jail, everything else, but it would upend all their research into AI. And Trump has invested heavily into AI being the future. I'm looking for the money. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm following the money. Good night, Eugene. Thank you for adding levity. I'm not much longer either on this. Like I said, I was going to do a fast woo woo stream. Yes, exactly, exactly. Se, it would be like it would be a little flap in the door like this, and then it flaps out like this, or it slides open like this, and then you can see what's behind it. The ones I've seen, they slide open. But you're right. It could be one that pops open like this. And definitely if somebody was, on, and we'll say the word suicide watch, because that's what he was supposedly moved to that cell block for, then you would have eyes on him 24/7 just about. They would have to monitor him in a different way than you would with a normal inmate that's thrown in there. Yeah, I mean, if the door didn't have that and the door's closed, why would you do that? If somebody's going to take themselves, look, maybe he did take himself out. That's one of my things is maybe they let him take himself out. Like they just made it look like incompetent and let him do it. Now, I mean, granted, the other theory of him being taken out would make sense as well, but there is that possibility. We can't rule that out. So for me, the bigger thing isn't that did he or didn't he take himself out? It's I wanted that client list. I want to know who those people are that would hurt small children. I want to know why they're not being prosecuted. Is it legitimately like doesn't matter how rich you are or powerful you are, you know, justice finds its way to you? Or is it just the opposite that if you have that money and you have that influence and power, you'll never see a day in jail? And I'm not going to lie, if that is the case, I'm going to say this in this way, and you guys will understand. The older people will understand. That's when we need people like the Boondock Saints. I'm just going to throw that out there. That's where I believe we need people like Boondock Saints. We need the people that will do the things that are necessary to balance the ledger. And I'm not calling for any kind of harm on anybody or anything like that. So there's my disclaimer and allegedly. Because the only thing that lets evil win is the tolerance of good men. It's all about what we tolerate and allow to happen. And the fact the news buried it too tells me something else. That I didn't even see coverage of the flood. Matter of fact, if I go to the headlines right now, what are the damn headlines? Let's take a look. I want to look and see what our headlines are. I agree, Se, dude. I'm right there. You like I said, I think you and I have chewed some of the same dirt in my neighborhood. That would be Yeah, that would be game over for you. It's just the way I was raised. It was always that's game over. You don't do that. And Mister, thank you very much, dude. Get some rest, brother. I know you've been probably going in on it. So thank you for coming in, adding a little bit more levity to a dark topic. I appreciate you. Okay, so Fox News, death toll from flooding rises. Then we got, of course, the mayoral candidate for New York City that I don't really care about. Feds getting thrown out. Um, and finally, like 3/4 of the way down, Bondi under siege after the Justice Department reveals no Epstein client list. But that's because she went on Fox News and said, hey, I have it on my desk. So were you lying then or you lying now, lady? I don't trust you. Let's see what the top news is on CNN. We got Trump announces new tariffs of up to 40% on growing number of countries. And then, you ready for this one? Bah, bah, bah. They have it off on the side. New Epstein information refutes right wing conspiracy theories. So they're focused on the right wing conspiracy theories behind Epstein. Like, really? Like, that's what you're focused on, not on this is bunk and this is bull and you're fooling the American public. That's our media. This is our mainstream media. And then MSNBC, only plausible outcomes of Elon Musk's America Party. Sosek administration takes a step too far with deceptive email on Mega Bill. Why Trump's entire fragrance enterprise stinks. Like, these are their headlines. The key disparity between Trump's response to natural disasters in Texas and California, and Democrats call for probe into cuts at National Weather Service after Texas flood. So, like, MSNBC doesn't even try to pretend to be news. Yeah, it's such a large desk. You're right, Essie. It's such a large desk that, like, she threw the papers on there, and like it's going to take a team that would climb up the side of Mount Everest to go and find them because it's just lost. It vanished in the thin air. It got buried. The desk ate it. It came to life and ate it. A ghost took over the desk and just ate those papers. Just she's amazing, just amazing, and all them 10,000 hours of video footage they have. Yeah, that just magically, doesn't show anything. It's just one guy and nothing else. Nope. Yeah, nothing to see here, folks. Nope. I'm sure she's telling the truth as she was too busy getting her makeup done to go on Fox in like an hour. This is what I mean. Like, it just disgusting. It's embarrassing. Like, it really is. But my conspiracy theory, my woo woo tinfoil hat thing. That's the only logic I can come to now. Maybe, and that's why I'm hoping like maybe one of you guys like will throw something else out there where I'm just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we can see that. Like Mister was throwing in about the scientists with the gravitational, and one being the leader of an AI thing. Okay, well if that sabotages an entire industry, yeah, you'd kind of cover it up for that. But I mean, reality is probably Occam's razor. The simplest solution is probably that very rich people would have, lost their entire fortunes, their livelihoods, and then they would have had to be prosecuted. And they didn't want to do that thing. That's the actual probably real deal behind it. But I like my little conspiracy theory too. Yes, exactly. Yeah, see, that's and that I said that earlier too. That's the only reason why we know about Prince Andrew is because one woman was brave enough to come forward and say, "Hey, this is it was Prince Andrew, and it was Prince Andrew in this bedroom with the candlestick." Like like a game of Clue. Like she just laid that stuff out, started listing off different people that she had seen there, and MSNBC, like I said, major just like they're not even news at this point. It's just opinion. Um, CNN is at least trying to be a little bit objective with it, but not really when you're just like the only thing you see about it is proves right wing conspiracy theorists wrong. Like, really, really, that's what you're going to take from this situation. Not the government, just covered some stuff up and screwed with all of us, and hit all these mega billionaires that had a hand in this evil. It's like the most evil goddamn thing you can think of. It's off the hinges on X. What's going on, Steve? Ladies and gentlemen, Steve, our man on the streets, and coming in here with a report direct from X. Steve, the only man I know who is willing to wade into the toxic waste dump that is X to come back and tell us things that, everybody's talking about. Wow. So, like, I'm guessing it's like a serious MAGA divide of what? You got to tell us the truth. You said you were going to tell us the truth. And no, why they're doing the right thing here. Yeah, I mean, no lies told there. I can understand it because honestly, the average American person that voted in this past election and has followed this and everything else, we all wanted certain things. All of us. I didn't even vote. I've been very open about that one. As matter of fact, I got shamed at the time when I said, no, I don't vote. Why? Because, well, they're horns on the same goat. As Bean said earlier, they're wings on the same bird, right? And I can hope in one hand and poop in the other. Oh no, it's no longer a divide. What everybody wanted was it screwed up. What everybody wanted was a transparent government, answers to some of the biggest questions, like who killed JFK, what happened with MLK, RFK. That's a lot of that's three Ks. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the internet anymore without getting banned. But one of the big ones was who's on the Epstein client list. Yeah, I kind of covered that one. I thought I covered that one, Beans. Yeah, it's good to hear from the chat and see what you guys think. But Elon coming out and saying Trump was on the list or whatever, one, Elon wouldn't know. There's no way he could actually know. He might have had somebody tell him something, but even that doesn't count. He's got to actually see him on the list. He's got to actually, okay, Elon, if Trump's on the list, tell us the other names that are on the list, right? That's part one. And the reason why I'm 95% sure Trump is not on that list, in my opinion, is that, like I said, they spent $1.5 billion trying to stop him from getting elected. They shot him. They did everything in their power to smite him, lock him up in court with lawfare, everything else to keep him from getting elected. If it was something as easy as being on the list, that would have stopped him. It would have stopped him cold. Hell, Melania probably would have killed him in his sleep, right? They didn't pull it out. And you can say that they were protecting others, but they could have just released Trump's name off the list. And if they're going to sacrifice a king for a king, then you sacrifice Bill Clinton because everybody already knows what he's about. Um, Elon looking like a loon. No, Elon's doing that to himself. If you pay attention to Elon, he's always acted like a loon. Just because he says stuff that you like and agree with, if you're looking at it objectively and not just like, oh, it's Elon Musk, all this, Elon Musk, just look at him at like one of the Trump rallies, hopping around like I think Dana Carvey did like one of the best impressions of him because it was like spot on. Like that's exactly the way he acts. Like he doesn't know socially how to behave, and he lets his emotions run wild, even though he's a very smart man and he is a genius. He's also kind of socially retarded. What if it was low level people just indicting Trump, trying to make a name for? Well, that's just it. I mean, if we want to go to, all right, let's flip the conspiracy theory over, and let's say Bongino, Patel, Bondi, they're being flat out honest. There is no client list and all this other kind of stuff, and they can only report on evidence that they actually have. Right? Let's say before they got in there, the moment Donald Trump was elected, Stephen Ray was like, and burn everything to do with the Epstein list. Let's say they wiped out all that stuff. Maybe they are actually telling the truth. You know, I'm not going to give them that benefit of the doubt because I don't believe that crap, especially not when, like you just said, Steve, Bondi's coming out saying, I got the client list sitting on my desk. And like SE pointed out, she has the biggest desk in the world. It's basically in the Guinness Book of World Records. And, you know, like they have Egyptologists going across her desk right now trying to figure out the origins of it. Like, um, I'm going to disagree with that one. The smartest, well, okay, yes, the smartest people in history. I know a very smart person that honestly is brilliant and has pulled shit like, why am I wet? Because it's raining out. Because they don't pay attention to things going on around them. There's a reason why very, very smart people, you're always going to see them with what's known as a handler, whether that's their wife, their sister, their brother, cousin, aunt, grandma, whatever. Right? So, but the whole thing is, Elon's running around with no handler. And Albert Einstein was, you know, I'm going to argue one of the smartest people ever in the history of ever with all his sciencing. And he didn't have a handler. He kept himself on keel. He could have fun and all that and be goofy, but you know, he wasn't like socially retarded. Yes, Steve, I said the same damn thing. I said the same thing about that. All that 10,000 hours of video. Yep. I don't know what happened to that either. She must have like left a refrigerator magnet next to the videotape and it just erased everything. It was magic. Steve, that's my entire woo woo conspiracy theory. That was the entire woo woo conspiracy theory I said. I was like, basically, their James Bond got caught, and to sweeten the deal with Gaza on top of it, right? Like, so that it becomes a two-state solution, because Trump wants peace. He basically told Bibi, like, look, we'll make all the stuff about your spy go away. Like, I'm dead serious, Steve. If you go back after this is done or whatever and go watch the begin where I start talking about the woo woo conspiracy of my stream, like my actual woo woo conspiracy, you just basically said. Yeah, they okay. So I think the swamp's about to drain itself too, because as I'm watching people like Schumer, Pelosi, like Mitch McConnell, um, these older guard, they're aging out. They're going bye bye. So that part of the swamp's going to drain. But now we got some new reeds in the swamp. We got a little bit of more water, like Se just said, but I think we got some new reeds. Like the old reeds broke and they're floating down the stream. Alligator ate them, and now we got new reeds growing in their place. Oh, I believe it, Steve. Trust me, I believe it. But it's funny because, like I said, if you go back to because I've been streaming now, and I said I'd do it for like an hour, and it's probably been like an hour and a half. It's been at least an hour. But if you go back when I'm first going into it and everything, I kind of give the backstory, all that, and then I went into my conspiracy theory on it, and that's exactly what I was saying. I was like, there's so many ties, so many things, and then looking at other things going on politically with, like I said, we're looking at a two-state solution. What would change somebody that would never give a two-state solution? Well, if one of your highly valued assets, intelligence assets, was burned, caught, and it turned out that you were spying on the American people, like, because let's call a spade here. The reason why they allow, like UK or Israel or whatever that's an ally to us, spy in our country, they know that they're spying. But then, so like Mossad, for example, will meet up with the CIA. The CIA says, hey, we're spying in your country. Here's your guy that you're looking for and everything on him. What do you got for us? And then they'll turn around and hand them what they have on our citizens because the CIA can't spy on American citizens. FBI is not supposed to be able to spy on American citizens, right? But you can go to a foreign agency and they're already spying on your citizens and swap out some information on people. Well, that's legit, even though it's kind of a gray area. Wow, that's an interesting one. Caroline Levitt took off her cross. That's well, BB's in the White House, so that doesn't shock me. But yeah, see, that's the problem is that, like I said, this is going to be just GAM's opinion here. But until there's no or money in politics, till there's no lobbying groups, till there's none of that crap, people that get fundamentally rich by passing bills and laws that hurt everybody else, until we get rid of all that money, it's always going to be a swamp. There is no draining it. There is no cutting it back. You can make it as transparent as you want, but that just means you get to see the alligators and the catfish swimming at the bottom of it. Um, I do remember hearing something about that, Steve. I couldn't cite it. Like, I'm sorry, I can't cite it, but I do remember something about that. Like, don't mess with them. And then I had brought up that Bongino even said on like Tim Pool show, I think it was, that he was backstage in Fox News and somebody he said would definitely know said that Epstein was an intelligence agent for a Middle Eastern country. I mean, here's the thing though. Don't lose heart. Let's bring this into a more upbeat thing. Does our government do dirty things? Do they do shitty things? Do they, everything? Guys, we still live in the best country in the world. As terrible as everything may seem sometimes, we live in the best country in the world. And as a people in a country together, apes strung together, people together smart, right? We can keep each other sane. We can do the moral thing. We can be the morality of America and the actual patriots without having to play the dirty games. So don't ever lose heart. don't ever think, what's it all about and why should I even bother? You do make a difference, even if it's just to your next door neighbor, even if it's just to your kids, even if it's just to your wife. So never lose perspective on that, because it's real easy when dealing with this kind of mess to fall into that trap of what's the whole point. Huh? That is interesting, Beans. I'll definitely have to look into them. I mean, I wouldn't want that island? Like, okay, if there's a house for sale where some guy broke in and like the Manson family got a hold of somebody in there, that house for me would be like, oh, maybe there's ghosts, maybe there's this, that, and the other thing, but I can get it at a discount. That's where I'd be at. But if it was something like, oh yeah, we had human trade going on here, I would want nothing to do with it. That is, in my point of view, you're leaving evil in a place. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want anything to do with it. I would think that the energy, as woo woo as that sounds, would be off there. Well, I mean, that's just it. The whole thing is like, you just pointed out billionaire, all this other stuff. Name the 20 richest people in the world off the top of your head. I can't. I can name some. I can say like Bezos, some Saudi prince, Elon Musk. I can name a couple, but you tell me to name the top 20 richest people and what they look like, I wouldn't be able to pick them out of a crowd. Hell, I even said some Saudi prince. Like, I don't even know what the fuck guy really looks like. He just looks like a Saudi prince to me. So stuff like that doesn't shock me. Not unless you're following somebody from the rip. But it is weird that he'd buy the island. Like, well, I mean, if it's a nice island and everything else, and you don't really have that scribble like I would about what went down there, like I said, I'd buy something that was like a haunted house, like Amityville. Like, I'd buy that house. Well, no, I wouldn't buy it because of the taxes in New York City or New York, but I would definitely want to buy that house if I could. That'd be like one of those houses like, ooh, spooky stuff happened here, woo woo. Gives you that vibe. But then there's other stuff like, well, you can buy this nice factory over here. Well, what happened in it? The children were chained to the conveyor belts and forced into hard labor until they passed away. Yeah, I think I'll skip that one. I've seen the house too, SE, and honestly, I just saw a house. I didn't get any kind of vibe from it, good, bad, indifferent, anything else. I know other people that were like, yeah, it's like you just said, super creepy when you see the house and like you get a bad feeling. For me, I don't, man, it was a house. I was like, all right, it's a house. But then again, I know, I think it was Mount Holly, New Jersey. There's one jail there that they still have, like, it was built whenever, I guess, when the town was settled. And like they kept it's in a basement, basically these cells and everything. They have the same manacles and all that hanging there. It's a historical site. And that I got like a weird juju vibe from. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right because it's got that arch rounded window or whatever on the front of it. Yeah, that's a good call, man. Maybe that's what it is. It almost feels like the house is looking at you. You know what I mean? Like that, like the house has its own face and it's just like, come inside, see what's up. Almost like a reverse love boat theme there. Just, come inside. We've been expecting you. The murder house. Someone's going to die and scream tonight. The Amityville house. You can dive off the back in the lake tonight. That is, yeah, that is a good call out. But yeah, Amityville. I guess one of the other problems is the people that were involved with the Amityville horror and all that in the story, not the family, but the investigators that went in. It was Ed and Lorraine. I can't remember their last names. They did like the whole movie series on them. Like they had Annabelle, which that doll does not look like Annabelle at all. Annabelle looks like an old Raggedy Ann doll. Like, but is it the Warrens? Is it Ed and Lorraine Warren? Is that their name? But every case they've ever done has basically been debunked and bullshit. So maybe that's I kind of knowing that going to it. Maybe that's why I didn't get creeped out by it. And I was what the hell was I? You had to mention a temple, and I was deep diving something, and it had to do with like pyramid shaped things. I can't remember what the guy referred to the zygotes or something. I can't remember. I think that's an unborn penis is a zygote. It was something like that, some kind of word like that, and he was saying like the relation between all of them, and he was going into some woo woo stuff, and it was kind of interesting. But I was half ass listening. I'm not gonna lie. And you saw a javelina, Jesus, man, you see some crazy creatures, some crazy critters out there. Wow, it got bit by a possum. Man, I have possums that come on my back porch and eat the cat food for the feral cats all the time. And like never had an issue with any of them. As a matter of fact, there was one baby possum I used to be able to pet a little bit. Like I've never seen a possum get mean and bite. That's just odd. Funny enough, because I was like, oh shit, there's a possum on the back porch. Let me go get the gun. And the wife was just like, no, possums are good for the environment. What are you doing? Plus, they look funny. They look like dude's face in Beetlejuice. It's like, yeah, you know what? They kind of are. And then the more I learned about them, it was like they can't get rabies. We had one cat. She was a full black cat that was feral, named Spooky. And Spooky would go and she lived with the possums. There was like a family of possums out in the wood, and she would go and stay with them. Like they're actually friendly with the cats. Cats don't beat them up or anything else. So I've never had any issue with the possum. They eat like ticks and all that shit too. So yep, there you go. SE said the same thing I do. They eat ticks too. Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. So the dog actually like got a hold of it. Yeah, it's got to fight back at that point. That makes sense. But yeah, the fact that they can't contract rabies is definitely one of those. Whew, good. But that's just it. One of the things, and should I promo SE too, if you would please, because SE, like I definitely like your like you had the video of the eagle. When you put that thing up, I immediately like shouted that out. Like I had like a bunch of people. I was like, you got to check out the video. He's got a great video of an eagle. We used to have a huge pine tree in the backyard, and the wife got like a stellar shot of this eagle that was up in there with its mouth open and everything else. Just badass. Yeah, no worries, SE. I try to promote everybody that's good people in this channel. I do. Um, like I promo everybody I can because I look at it, everybody's kind of in the same space. And if you're good people, build each other's channels up, help each other out, help a brother out. Try to do it. And I'm small and I've just started basically. I think my channel's like, what, 6 years old now? But I did something with it for the first year I had it, and then long ass hiatus until September of 2024. I think that's where we're at, and that'll be a year that I've been going live. I actually just started live streaming because, actually, shout out to Beans, shout out to Mister, shout out to Sheree, shout out to Six, shout out to all the old schoolies. They were like, I was doing my 3D prints and posting pictures of them in our Discord, and everybody was just like, "Oh man, you should try live streaming, showing how you paint them and stuff." And I was like, "Hey, that's an idea, but what am I going to talk about? I'm just an asshole. I'm going to run my mouth on the internet." And well, here we are. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a great way to grow the channel, Steve, but the whole thing is, if it's something that, like, okay, we struck Iran stream, right? The Epstein client list goes missing stream. Um, I think if it's something that is super important, I know the rest of you guys are probably seeing it. And like I said, a lot of this is, I don't want people out there just being alone and dealing with it on their own and getting, like, SE was furious. And I'm sure he's still furious, right? But stuff like that, like SE can hop in here, blow off some steam because I'm blowing off steam. And we can all blow off steam together and just whoo, woosah and go back to good life. Yeah, I mean, so the other thing is, I don't want to be like known as the political guy or any of that stuff because I don't like either party. I'm right up the middle with all my takes, basically. You know, um, so that's one of those things where it's, I don't want to get typecast to an extent, but I think about everybody that's out there that's like me, and it's like, hey, you know what? Let's do a woo woo tinfoil hat theory, conspiracy theory kind of stream, and have fun with this, and kind of let everybody blow off steam or get their ideas out there. Like Beans has had some good ideas. Mister threw in the whole thing about scientists. Now I got to look into that stuff like that. SE's come in, said some stuff. Steve, you came in here, told us all about X blowing up. Sheree's thrown her hat. Everybody's kind of thrown their hat in the ring and thrown different stuff. And I think that's important. I think it gives everybody a chance to kind of be heard with people that you actually respect their opinions on. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Kind of find that to be important. I got you. Yeah, I mean, so like I said, I plan on doing a couple videos again. I almost did this as a video. I'm not gonna lie. And I was just like, nah, you know what? It's easier, it's faster, easier, and just I can just click live and then I'm there. You know what I mean? And people can watch it back later on or what have you. Bang the arm on the camera. But yeah, I plan on putting together videos because of the camera my wife got me for the birthday coming up here. Um, I've been trying to come up with out of the box ideas to film different things so that it's funny. Like she wants to see some insane videos from me. She's like, there's a video editing software that came with it, and she goes, I could just completely see you sitting there and bending down and being like, I need to fly now, and then just like shooting a flame out of your ass and flying into the sky or something. I was like, yeah, yeah, that's some shit I'd do. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is political can hurt you because, all right, so let's say I was, and everybody knows I'm not, but let's say I was a hardcore Trump supporter, right? Now, Trump does some dumb shit that nobody likes, and you might feel some kind of way about that. Joe Biden does some shit that we didn't like, kind of feel that way, and then you're going to create echo chambers, and that's not a good thing to have. It's going to limit, in my point of view, it limits what you can and can't cover. So I'm honest about how I feel about politics. I'll call out somebody on the left if they're I feel they said the right thing, did the right thing. Like the mayoral candidate in New York, Mamdani or whatever his name is, right? I called him out and said he actually gave the right answer there because everybody else on the stage was like, one name one country that you would go to as soon as you were elected mayor, and everybody pretty much said Israel or Ukraine, or Israel and Ukraine, really. And he was the only one who said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to worry about New York. Son of a bitch won the election. Why? Or, won that primary or whatever. Why? That's why. Because he's putting forth that he cares about New York, not some other goddamn country. So that was a good thing he did. Now, do I think his policies and everything else are total dog shit? I do. Do I think they'll destroy New York if he gets elected? I do. But for that one answer, so you got to be able to admit when somebody is good and also call out their bad. And I do the same thing with myself. You guys have always heard me say, like, I'm an asshole. I'm just some guy who talks shit on the internet. I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other thing. I don't always get it 100% right, and I have to apologize sometimes. Yeah, but you know what I mean? The whole thing is I got to call it up the middle. If I don't, and I start becoming, if I don't admit where my bias is or where my biases lie, then I'm not being completely honest. And if I'm not being completely honest, why the hell are you guys going to believe anything that comes out of my mouth? It's definitely one of those things. It's a tricky path to walk, but because I'm being honest, I never have to remember shit. I can always, like, if somebody says, "Hey, Gam, remember when you said this? Was it about this?" Oh yeah, this is what I said. That's why. Because I can't remember who was it. Was it? It's got to be somebody like Abraham Lincoln or Mark Twain or one of the, like somebody that always gets fucking quoted, Ben Franklin. But an honest man doesn't have to have a good memory. Something like that. So I think that's the problem is people a lot of times express opinions and stuff that they want everybody to be socially acceptable of or fully embrace them and love them and all that. I got enough love in my life. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be honest with you guys. And if you're being honest about things too, cool. If you see it different, that's cool too. We can have a discussion over it. That's just how I've always done this shit. I'm an asshole and I'm chaotic, but I'm fair. Oh, I agree, Se. I agree. You're 100% spot on with that, man. Um, it's it's the same thing where you got to be careful with criticisms too. You can criticize somebody and you might hit a sore spot, So I try to be more gentle with my criticism of things. It's the best way of saying it. Yeah, and there are people that interpret it however the hell they want. For example, if I'm sitting here on the stream and I'm just like, you people said this, I might get Sheree chiming in like, what do you mean by you people? You know, like, oh, well, shit, I didn't mean it that way. Like, great, now Rick James is going to come smack me the hell up. Yeah, Jesus. Like, yeah, I mean, there's things that like people just say in the course of conversation. I like, for example, here's a funny little story. Yeah, exactly. Se people have their own version of reality. Sometimes you're not wrong. Right. Yeah, and you're right. You can't hear a person's inflection. You're not looking them in the eye. You don't know how somebody might have said something when you read it. Sometimes text can come through nasty, and you don't mean it to, which is one of those big problems where you would think that we have better lines of communication, but honestly, we always had a great line of communication when you used to meet somebody, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and have a conversation, or you made a phone call and were able to talk to them directly, right? And one of my other things with this is you also got to worry about the keyboard board warriors that like if I was standing next to you in real life, would you say that shit to my face? Like, would you? Like you wouldn't. Yeah, I'd reach out and be able to smack you, for example. And like that's one of my things with video games. I love my video games, and I love the fact that I can play with my friends online, and strangers from millions of miles away that I'll never see. Right? That's cool and all that. But when you get somebody in a video game, it's like talking shit. And you think to yourself, I grew up in the day when I used to have to stand at the arcade and you put a quarter in to play and all that, and you're playing Mortal Kombat and somebody starts talking smack to you and you just turn around and start slapping the hell out of them, or well, pick your ass off the ground. What? Come on now, you gonna rip my heart out there, Kano? Let's go. Come on, what do you got? Get your hands up. Like I grew up in that kind of era. Yeah, phone calls are an old school. Yeah, awesome. Put on the record player. Like, um, yeah, I did my nerd laugh. Yeah, but a funny story about language being different in different places. True story. I'm in a Blockbuster, and when you got the new releases, you had to make space on the wall for it, so you had to condense certain things, move the wall around, or what have you. So I'm teaching this one guy that I hired that was from the UK and had gotten married, moved to America. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to compress this here. You need 24 spaces right here on the wall for the new release, and you're going to move this over, and then you're going to go to the next one and just follow through. And he starts laughing his ass off. And I'm like, what are you laughing about? He goes, well, you just said I should follow through. I'm like, right. He's like, yeah, follow through over in the UK. That basically means when you fart and you accidentally shit yourself. That's following through. And I ever since he's told me that, I can never say the words follow through quite the same way again. Put a quarter in your ass because you played yourself. No, true. If you actually want to know one of the most brutal stories with an arcade, like one of those, my buddy Guido. God bless you, Guido. I love you, man. I miss you. Miss you every day of my life. Fucking Guido is, like I said, he's like 6'3", 6'4", And at this point in time, he weighed right around 300 pounds. And he's playing against this kid we used to call Slappy. And we were playing Street Fighter 2. I'll never forget it. And we always called it last quarter syndrome, where you have one quarter left. So you're going as long as you can. Right. So all of a sudden you might be a mediocre player, but you hit last quarter, and last quarter syndrome hits in because you know you're done after that. So you drop your quarter in the machine, and then you go through like 10 opponents, and maybe you'll lose eventually, but everybody's lined up to play or what have you. Guido gets up there. He's got his last quarter. He drops that thing in the machine, and Slappy had taken out like 6 or 7 players before him using Guile. And Guile has like the razor kick and the sonic boom. Throws the sonic boom, sonic boom, sonic boom. You get close to him or try to jump in at Slappy. And we didn't even call him Slappy. I can't even remember the kid's name now, but we ended up calling him Cousin Slappy, because anytime you jump in, he would razor kick you out of the air, and then the sonic booms would slowly tear down your health and kill you. Well, Guido's sitting there, and the first round goes by, and he does this to Guido, and Guido's like, yeah, man, you better knock that shit off for the next round and actually just fight me straight up. You pull that shit. And the kid's giggling the whole time, right? And he's like, you better not do that in the next round. It's my last quarter. And so, like, I see the look on Guido's face. This kid thinks Guido's joking around with him. So he starts throwing the sonic boom, sonic boom, sonic boom, razor kick, razor kick. Guido loses because he chunked down his health and did this to him. Guido turned around and grabs him with one hand and picks him off his fucking feet and looks at him and goes, so you want to do that? Like sonic boom me to a corner and then razor kick me whenever I try to move or whatever? Let's do that shit in real life. What do you say? Slap! And like slapped him upside his face. He's like, give me my fucking quarter back. And the kid gave him $1 in quarters. And Guido was like, okay, and set him down. He goes, now knock that shit off. But it was like one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in an arcade. I was like, oh shit, he's going to kill him. He took his last quarter. He's going to kill him. Like, I really thought he was going to kill the kid. I was like, oh shit. He took away his last quarter syndrome. Yeah, rip Guido. We're, Jesus, 5, 6 years gone now. Miss him every day. Wow, you guys still got fireworks going off. Oh, oh Jesus Christ. Well, guys, woo woo conspiracy theory and on the spot, like, stream or whatever. And I'm sorry. I apologize to you guys. I know you're probably doing shit or what have you. And of course, once again, I start talking shit. I just keep going. Something just popped up. Let me see the YouTube notification I just got. Dems call for defunding agency providing disaster relief in Texas. What? Oh, Jesus Christ. Everything's politics. Yeah, I mean, I'll hit woo woo streams here and there. But I've got to go into good woo woo streams. The only problem is this. This is what's going to kill you. Me doing a woo woo stream. Like, so this is fresh, new, and everything else. And I can kind of woo woo it because we don't have all the facts, evidence, and all that stuff out. But a lot of the older woo woo has been debunked and like debunked with evidence. So if you're all right with a woo woo stream where at the end of it I go, well, that would all be good, except, and then go into the actual evidence of everything. I kind of was doing that with my cryptid streams or my cryptid videos. I don't know. I mean, we'll definitely hit woo woo as woo woo happens. Yeah, hit the like for the woo woo stream. But yeah, and that's just it. But I mean, I do like it is just fun to kind of go conspiracy theory GAM and you know link things together and all this. Like I said, maybe none of this bullshit. It's a woo woo conspiracy theory, which is fun. I can't debunk it. I can't prove it either. So that's the best part of woo woo is it makes you want to think outside the box in a way. And sometimes my brain goes to that. So maybe I will. Maybe I'll do more. They'd be random as shit, but I maybe I will do more woo woo. Some, not all. There's been a lot more where they call them conspiracy theories, but they're not really conspiracy theories. Like this is actually like what I laid out is kind of is a two government conspiracy theory, right? Um, but then you got to be careful with that because then you end up starting to go into dangerous territory like Alex Jones. Alex Jones, for example, actually the perfect example. Alex Jones with the school shooting, where he was like, "Oh, they're all crisis actors and stuff." He got his ass sued into oblivion, right? And everybody always, I always say this: Alex Jones, oh, Alex Jones was right again. Not always. Not always. It's he throws a lot of darts at the wall, and sometimes he hits a bullseye. You throw 5,000 darts, well, one of them's probably going to hit the bullseye. It's okay. I'm going to shut her down in 10 minutes. Beans. I'm going to shut down right at 1 o'clock. I was only supposed to go for like hour, and just pop out my conspiracy theory and jump off, and then Essie jumped in, then Steve jumped in, and then everybody started jumping in, and I'm like, oh shit. Well, let's run your gums, Cam. Run your gums. Give everybody apparently needs something to watch and needs a break from bullshit. So let's provide our own bullshit. Poor Leo finally got his buddy Diego to watch, and it's not a painting stream or talking about dinosaurs and aliens and stuff. My car got lifted up. It was at first I thought it was aliens. I thought it was the tall whites, maybe the grays. They came flying in on their little ship. I couldn't see it though. It was very cloudy out, definitely raining and storming. And I was sitting in the car, and I was like, "Hey, you know what? Tires don't feel like touching the ground." And I turned the wheel, and there was no friction. And I was like, oh my god, Hillary Clinton's come for me finally. She knows I know about her. And I panicked. But it just turned out it was a very bad tornado. And I started to go up in the tornado, and a woman on a bicycle, it flew by me. And she turned green with black clothing, and she turned out she was riding on a broomstick. I don't know what any of that meant, but it was crazy. And then my trunk popped open, and a whole bunch of little balls that I had in there to monitor tornadoes flew up in the sky. And I was able to actually be the first person in recorded history to map out a tornado. I gave it to my buddy over at NASA, and he came back to me and he said, "Yeah, you're the first one to do this, but we can't give you credit. So, yeah, sorry, Alex, but that's what happened." Yeah, I mean, all that though. So that's the whole thing is got attention on them, right? Got clicks, got all that. When you make your money off the internet and you go into the woo woo, you got to be careful wading into woo woo because then you start getting that paycheck and it's like, hey, I bought a cat. He was a $20,000 cat, and it's one of a kind. It's a very special cat. Court wants me to give it over now because I decided to accuse grieving parents of being crisis actors for their kids' deaths. You got to be careful. Yeah, I don't I don't know. The only trace is the tracing back of my family basically were I can trace part of my family back to Vikings. I can trace part of my family back to all kinds of craziness. But I never looked to see if they were ever on the Mayflower either. Yeah, and that's some pretty interesting odds that they would be on the Mayflower. Oh, snap, crackle, and pop that shoulder. But yeah, I mean, did you guys have fun? You guys enjoy this little woo woo? Seems Beans did. Yeah, you can date back to a reverend on the Mayflower. He was coming here to bring the Christ Lord to the heathens of this country, the Native Americans and their false gods. Yeah, I'm definitely rapping, definitely rapping, winding down. SE, don't be a stranger, man. Make sure you're dropping in whenever you can. We always appreciate you in here and having a conversation. Maybe take a little bit of that mind off of some of the bullshit going on. So unless there's like a nuclear war or something crazy else happens, I probably won't be back till Thursdays or Friday or Sunday or whatever. Smurf legitimately, I think, requested on his work schedule to be off on Fridays, so Valheim is definitely going to be on the menu. Yeah, dude, no worries, SE. I'm happy to see you. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Definitely a pleasure when you're in the chats. Like you fit in with us, with the rest of the merry band of misfits. Yeah, and anything else comes up, well, we'll cover it on Thursday. Get this sucker all set. Yeah, everybody. What the? Did I grab the wrong mouse? I grabbed the wrong mouse. No, that's the right goddamn mouse. Where the hell's my mouse? There it is. Yeah, guys, thank you again for dropping in. Hopefully you had fun, and I'll catch you all on Thursday. Everybody hang in there. Have a good week, and don't take shit. Well, hold on. I didn't even say that right. Don't take shit from anyone. Everybody have a great night.